Hello, I'm John Hartledge. Welcome to my channel. Today, we're going to go to a famous land, famous soil, famous story, legendary grape, my favorite, Syrah. I'd like to call this Hommage de Syrah. Let's chat wine. So the name Crozes Hermitage. So the name Hermitage used to be synonymous with this grape. It was in the classic Bordeaux's that in rougher vintages that where they wouldn't have quite enough fruit content and they wanted a little more bolstering of the body and the texture or just that robust fruit, they would actually buy Syrah, or as they called the grapes, Hermitage. They would buy Hermitage from this area of Rhône and ship them back to Bordeaux to blend in little amounts in the famous Bordeaux wines. But this is Crozes Hermitage, which in the Rhône is right just south of Hermitage. So northern Rhône, so Rhône runs all the way from Côte-Rôtie all the way down to the Châteauneuf-du-Pape and the Gigondas. But the northern Rhône, which is for red grapes, almost 100% Syrah, starts at Côte-Rôtie and goes down to Cornos. Right in the middle of that northern Rhône area is Crozes Hermitage, and is one of my favorite areas because although in some wine circles they would say not as highly prized as Côte-Rôtie or Cornos or Hermitage, I hate the term not as highly prized. It's not as expensive, and that's where I'm talking. Really excellent grape, amazing area, used to the story that almost every wine aficionado would grab onto was that the name was a form of the traditional, what was thought of the traditional or the starting point of this grape in Shiraz and Persia. But now DNA testing has shown, as I've said on an early episode, that Syrah almost certainly became Syrah in this area of southeast France. And this producer, Paul Jaboulet is the name. Aîné, this little tag, just means the elder. So Paul and his brother Henri were both in the family business, but he at one point finally took over a lot of the operations, but he put his name on it. But the Aîné means the older brother of the Jaboulets. And what's interesting, in this area of the Rhône, in Crozes Hermitage, about 50% of the grapes that are produced are taken up by negociants. So you have negociants who aren't necessarily making the wine, but they've got growers and they've got winemakers, and they're buying juice and blending. They almost become de facto producers because the negociant is going into the market and saying to the producers, to the growers, and to the vintners, this is what the market wants, and they design the wines. In this case, Paul Jaboulet has his own wines, his own winery, and his own cooper. The wood is so important, the aging of the wood. So he has his own coopers in his company that make his barrels for him. So that's a big deal, particularly in France. But this area is North Rhône, so South Rhône, the Rhône Valley goes all the way down towards the ocean. It has a lot of that. The Southern Rhône has a lot more of a Mediterranean effect. This is much more north, and it's more continental, hilly, very hilly and rocky soils. And this name, Les Jalets, actually refers to the name of the rocks that were left behind when the glaciers millions of years ago when the glaciers receded, but it definitely had an effect on that soil. Soil is so important. If you've got a hill and you've got soil that drains water well, that means your grapes are going to be stressed. And there's no other grape that works beautifully when it gets stressed is Syrah. Stress the grapes. I know it's a strange term. When you stress the grapes, you don't give them enough water. That means the fruit has so much intensity and so much density. I love those rhymes. Okay, so without further ado, let's try a little of this. Now, first thing I'm going to do, this is 2007. So I said homage to Syrah. Part of what moved me was that it's 2007, and I know the price point. It's a little up there. I actually got this on sale for $20. Usually I figure of Crozes Hermitage I can find maybe 14 to 18. This is a little special bottle. It's a very good producer. I'm going to check the cork. The cork seems very firm, so I think a regular corkscrew should do it. If we need it, I have other tools in the tool chest. Okay, so again, I always find it, put the finger right near that spike. And then you're parallel. There we go. That's going in really nicely. Now, it's been in the bottle a while, so you figure 2 years before we actually release to market, so there's about 11 years in the bottle. And beyond what they had originally recommended on a lot of the sites when they had tasted this wine like 4 or 5 years ago or at release, but Syrah has age potential, and I thought this was a great opportunity. So, oh, good, that was really smooth. Sometimes there's a little pop, and if you go too abruptly, you can crack the cork, split the cork, and then it's harder to get out. But I think we've got the whole cork here. I'm using the front part of that wine opener, so there's a little hinge. Now I'm gonna go all the way up. And I'm not gonna take a chance by pulling this out. Oh, there we go, beautiful. I wanna smell it. Nice. So we get a little bit of berry, a little bit of that red wine kind of essence because it has been in there a while. Let's put that right there, beautiful. And let's give the tip a little wipe, and let's go here. Now, that may come into effect. I'm almost thinking I might, well, let's see. I'm worried about sediment with this age. So let's just do a little bit and see where we're at. Because we're gonna use this guy with a nice screen to do the second pour. We don't wanna give it too much air, so we're not gonna do Bernoulli's principle, we're just gonna do more of a decant for sediment. Traditionally, that's what a decant was for. For an older wine, you decant and you almost like pining for, or panning for gold. Pining, I love gold, I want gold. No, panning for gold, where you're separating the liquid from the solid by just going really slow. And that typically was a decant. But we now know that we can also aerate. But you gotta be careful with a wine who's already matured and aged in a bottle. You can give it too much air and then you oxidize it too much. Oh, this has a really nice rustic aromatic, something you only get from Syrah once it's developed in the bottle. It's had great wood content when it was fermenting and aging. And I just got a little piece of sediment. I gotta tell you, I don't think I want to aerate, but I just want to show you how this one works. It's really cool. It's got these little holes at the bottom of a funnel, so it goes like this. Woo! Very cool. So, but because I don't want to aerate it too much, we're just going to use the screen. Go like this. Yeah, just so I don't get any piece of cork or sediment on my teeth while I'm trying to sip. Okay. Yeah, I just need a little more in the glass to really get a feel for what's going on. So definitely older wine, more aged, more developed. Not a whole lot of fruit. This is more of a kind of a smoky, earthy experience. With a kind of a tart kind of finish to it. You know, I almost want to give this a breath and see what would happen, because even though we don't have a lot of fruit, I think if I clear the acid, I'm going to get more of that earthiness. So let's do this. Let's try this. I'm gonna give it a full on, like sparkler aeration. Yeah, this isn't really Bernoulli's. It's just literally just spreading out the liquid to contact more air. Yeah, oh yeah, that's pretty in the glass. Love when that happens. Now let's see, here we go. Okay. Oh yeah, open up even more. There we go. Better. It softened that acid on the finish. It's an older wine, so I'm not getting big berry fruits because of the age, but it's an older wine, aged wine taste experience. Perfect for food. This is not the type of Syrah where you're sitting down and just having wine for the sake of wine. This is an homage to Syrah de culinarage. Great culinary. Excellent. Money well spent. Keyword, Hermitage. Crozes Hermitage, Northern Rhône, 100% Syrah. Hey, they had the option of putting a little bit of white. It's in their history in this particular area of Northern Rhône. You can add about 15% white grapes. This is 100% Syrah. Cheers. Come see me again, and let's chat wine.